Hi friends and family, hi loved ones, hi all. How you doing today? Yeah, happy new beginnings. Happy new day. So it's time to review. And yeah, there's a lot to review. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. I've seen some weird shit. And yeah, some amazing shit. A lot of bullshit, a lot of stupid shit, a lot of crazy shit. Yeah, it's all about the shit right now and purging it and shifting it and making something, creating something new with it or releasing it, purifying it. Yeah, owning it, taking accountability for it, playing with it, creating with it. Yeah, nourishing the garden, using it as fertilizer to grow with it. So, yeah. Thanks for the fertilization. Thanks for the bullshit. Thanks for the memories. Yeah. Thanks for all of this. So, yay, Badger medicine. Badger medicine. Badger came up a couple times this week, and she's been helping me. She's the keeper of the medicine roots. And yeah, she teaches us how to direct that aggression to protect ourselves or to take actions uh, to care for ourselves. Yeah, and to exact a cure. She's not shy about employing any and all methods to exact that cure and for healing. Healing to become whole. And so if we already are whole, it's just clearing all those distortions. It's a lot of shit. Yeah, to clear sometimes or to let go of and surrender, to unravel our minds and alchemize the poison into nectar. So, yeah, there's so many things that I could share right now, but I did make some breakthroughs today. And yeah, just by my willingness to show up and play, and also like let go of my attachments and the outcome of what I like want it to be, and just being willing to receive, creating the space to receive healing or allow it to be. And so, let me sip on this water for a minute. Thank you, water. Thank you, replenishment, for the cleansing and the healing that's taking place at this time. And yeah, in our lives, wherever we are. Yeah. However we are, as we are. And so I have my journal opened to April 4th, and that was 10 days ago now, so it's April 14th. And so just seeing like certain cycles being being completed. And yeah, it's been interesting, like the cycles within cycles within cycles, like these healing cycles. And it's just pretty incredible, like to see some of the cycles that, the larger cycles that have gone on for thousands of years, and then the smaller cycles, like that are from moment to moment. It's pretty trippy. Yeah. But yeah, I've noticed like certain things, progression in certain ways. Yeah, throughout the days, the weeks, the years, yeah, and lifetimes. So it's pretty interesting. But for April 4th, I had written down some archetypes, and I flipped it back open to that page again, and I was like, yeah, that's, yeah, that fits for today. So it's the addict, the artist, the savior, the martyr, the ghost, the misfit, the exile, the orphan, the whore, the rebel, the scapegoat, the invisible wounded child, the prideful wounded warrior, the sovereign, the queen, the wanderer, the beloved, the innocent, the star, letting go of resistance to remember all we are. Temperance, the tower, the sun, and judgment. Suspension, letting go, detachment, trust, faith, surrender, equilibrium, gratitude, for all, gratitude for the whole. So we have letting go of resistance, suspension, and surrendering, letting go. So yeah, that was one of the things I was practicing in this last little while, was to forgo, to leave it alone. And it's just like, yeah, consciously practicing that by refusing to summon up the fiery material that carries us away or that puts us back into that story to reinforce our attachments or our identities or our roles, or the strategies that we use to convince ourselves that we're all right, or that we're okay, or that we're enough. And that's what it's about right now for me, is the not enough stories and the belief that we aren't worthy, or I'm not worthy, or life isn't worthy, and life isn't enough, and love isn't enough, and we're not enough, or I'm not enough, or there's not enough, or we're not enough. And that's all bullshit based on lies, poverty consciousness, victim consciousness. And it's up to us to realize, and see for ourselves where we played into those stories, where those programs have hijacked our minds, poisoned our minds, and perpetuates lies, So that's what I want to talk about today. And what I found, or what I got to see today, how it's about pride. So I was just letting myself just kind of vent, and feeling frustrated still, this morning, I was like, man, what is it about the stupid, really? Because it's been a month now since I wrote my poison pen letter. And in there, at the end of the poison pen letter, it was really railing against the stupidity and the idiocracy and the idiocy, and the inability or the unwillingness to see, the unwillingness to confront things, the unwillingness to look into things, or to look beyond the surface of the appearance of things. And that was what made me so angry, why I felt so angry of others outside of me. Why in the fuck are you eating up this bullshit and carrying on and choosing self-harm and self-destruction? And why are you selling out your own self and your own life for the illusion of security and belonging, And so I do see that it's about self-worth, and it's about how we believe, what we believe about ourselves, how we believe we fit into the world, or that we don't fit into the world, and it's a need to secure our belonging or our safety, for our survival needs. And that's not a bad thing. That's just something we've learned. We had to adapt when we were young, and when we didn't know, and when we relied on others to care for us and keep us safe and all of that. But it becomes maladaptive in the adult, and it does stunt our maturity, in our ability to be accountable for ourselves and response-able for ourselves, to respond, to care for ourselves. And it's just one way to look at that. And there are all ways to see things, and all ways to describe or to explain or to experience, or to perceive and know things. But that's just always. So one thing that was bothering me was that there's only one right way, and I know that's total bullshit, and that just made me feel very resentful, and I don't like coercion, and I don't like intimidation, and I don't like domination, and I don't like manipulation, and I don't like deceit, I don't like gossip, I don't like the self-defeating destructive behaviors that I'm witnessing. But there's a reason for that too, and it's because it was in different ways, in subtle ways, like in less perceptible ways, stories that I was playing into. And so, yeah, I have a lot to say about that. And so, yeah, I was just like, slavery or mastery, fascism or freedom, tyranny or free will, yeah, accountability, responsibility, awareness and acceptance, ignorance, yeah, or that accountability, control, manipulation, coercion, domination, or trust, surrender, willingness, and participation. So that's what I got to choose for me. Like, yeah. And everybody else gets to choose for themselves, like, what feels right for them. And so it is, like, more freeing in a way, but it's just like, how can I get others to see? But it's just like, I can't get others to see. Only they can see what they need to see, or only they can choose to see what they're able to see, or look beyond, yeah, and ask to see what they haven't seen, or ask to see more clearly into things, and ask, yeah, themselves certain questions, and they need to be willing themselves. Like, so it's just like taking that pressure off of me. I don't need to save, convince, or change anyone else's mind. I don't need to manage their perceptions of me and prove to them that I'm all right, and that we're all right. So, yeah, that just takes a big, huge burden off of me. I'm not Atlas, and I'm not the glue. And, yeah. And, like, yeah, it's just making new agreements that I'm not going to play the scapegoat for you anymore. I'm not going to be the people pleaser. I'm not going to make it all better for you. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go against myself so I can belong to this group. Yeah, that external validation. And so, is there really a compromise, or is it cooperation? Cause and effect phenomena, universal or self-created patterns and laws. Responsibility for thoughts, words, deeds, and actions, right thought, right response, and correct actions. Best efforts, true intentions, and surrendering, suspension, trusting my own deepest experience. Yeah, and trusting my intuition. So, like, with the surrender and to forego, to leave it alone, this is like, okay, instead of trying to beat this dead horse to death, oh, that's dead already. Which horse is another one that's coming up, in Horse's Power. So that's funny. Yeah. I forgot where I was going with that. Maybe it'll come back. Yeah. What do I get to choose for me? And I can let all of this other stuff go, and I can surrender, and I can let go. Yeah. And everything's still there. Everything still exists, so I don't need to cling to it. It's just like, let go of my attachments of how I want it to be, or of how I think it is, or how I think it should be, and just let it be, and be willing to see, like, and receive, and invite, and choose, and claim what I need for me. And yeah, just practicing that, and playing with that, and playing through that, and surrendering, and even like just stepping away or stepping back for a minute, like, and yeah, choosing something else, choosing to focus on something else, or yeah, just taking a break. Frog medicine. And then, like, it's just funny how fast some certain things can come in when we let go of it, like that attachment, that desire, and that need to fix it or understand or make it better. And it just like, and then like making the space for the healing to take place, and then it can come in, like when we make that room. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, just getting clear about some of my intentions, and I was like going back over like the things I had written this month, and I went back to my poison pen letter to look at that again. And because this morning I was just like, what is it about stupid? I'm having such a hard time making friends with stupid. I'm like, why can't I just let stupid be? Because stupid is as stupid does, and we wouldn't know, like, yeah, we wouldn't learn if, yeah, we didn't come from some kind of ignorance, like, yeah, so claim the ignorance and the innocence and the wisdom and the folly. And so it's just like, okay, allow stupid to exist today. And like, really, what is it about the stupidity? And it's like, it seems like I'm mad at the wrong people, like here. And because really, when I look into things more deeply and I do like think of the people that I do know who are following along with the mainstream programs, the inverted programs, and those core belief systems that keep us hijacked and separated, those wounds of separation. Um, like I don't like judge them as being stupid or anything. It's just they're playing at being stupid. And like what I found out was I'm more upset with them for their unwillingness, their my perceived, yeah, that's what I perceive, their unwillingness to look into things. But now, like, it's just like almost unavoidable now where we need to look into it. We need to look at it, and here it is. Like, yeah. But I know how devastating that can be and how hard it is to lose our core beliefs. It is like a death to lose our identity, or it's, that construct of our image or our self-image of who we thought we were because of those belief systems. And kind of looking into that, into transitioning transitioning from one belief system to another belief system that has the same booby traps, mind traps, and the same ego traps, until like we learn to see them. So, yeah. There are like a couple of different things that relate, and I do, yeah, want to share a couple of things. But I did realize today, like, I don't need to convince anyone, save anyone, prove myself to anyone, change anyone, free anyone, or sacrifice myself to prove my love, my worth, my rightness, my fullness, and my power to or for anyone. So I don't need to sacrifice myself to prove my love to or for anyone. I respect, love, honor, and care for myself. I am worthy and I am enough. I release and dissolve these old agreements and beliefs, programs, false stories of I am not enough. I offer them back with love. Thank you, stories, for teaching me how to claim and know me, and how I can choose to honor and claim my true worth and my divine right to my life. I ask for more clarity, insight, and understanding, and humbly surrender to free myself right now. Thank you for the healing. It is done. It is done. It is done. And then wrote a couple other things about what I'm going to claim for myself, and what I'm not doing, and also what I get to choose, and also there's these fears that came up, like these fears that I'm aware of now. And I release my old attachments to false humility, pride, control. So false humility, false pride, false control, and external validation, like that ego vanity, and this never enough, lower ego, parasitic monkey mind drive, like to prove that I'm enough. And yeah, to prove that I'm worthy to exist here or to belong. And so I'm not doing that anymore. And so that feels good and that feels free. But I didn't really realize like the attachment to the false humility and the false pride. Like I can see it on the outside of me, but like it was a moment of clarity and aha, like where I could see, oh, okay, that's what that is. That's pride. Like now I can let that go. Yeah. So thank you, Badger Medicine. And there's a couple of things that relate, like to Badger and to like that aggression and that passive aggressiveness and like those dynamics and that narcissistic codependent that I'm so tired of. It's abusive, and I'm done playing into those stories and into those dynamics, and I'm not giving them it my power anymore. And so some of the fears that I had, like, yeah. So it was almost like a compulsion and obsession to manage manage perceptions and the ways that I'm received by others. So it's false ego control, pride, impatience, and vanity, fear of not belonging, fear of exile, fear of safety, fear of going against myself, fear of losing myself, fear of betraying myself, a fear of harming myself, a fear of being myself, a fear of being seen and rejected, humiliated, a fear of being destroyed. Yeah, a fear of wasting my life, and a fear of not being enough. Yeah. So, like, those are, like, my, all the little things that trip me up. And, yeah, I can become aware of them, bring them into the light, and know that I am enough, as I am, no matter what. Even if I'm wrong, and even if I make mistakes. And so that, yeah, that goes into some of what I wrote today as well, like, and I did have, like, a little dream this morning that I got to look into and, like, write some questions about, just to help me, like, remember what's really true and what I can choose for me. So I surrender the need to please, be pleasing, or be pleased. I surrender this an entitlement story of the victim to be pleased. I surrender my attachments to the pleaser identity. Yeah, fuck that. I surrender now, please. So badger, 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 please help me with this aggression and learn how to direct it in empowering, healing, transformative, creative, authentic ways. So I was looking at problem, reaction, solution, and fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. The need to manage, control, avoid, and smooth it over to please. So I'm so fed up with the stupid and the stupidity, gullibility, idiocracy, emotional, mental, spiritual immaturity, victim, judge, savior programming, and groupthink mentality, the denials of what is really happening, and scapegoating, blaming, and shaming, targeting the people who think and choose to be or live differently than the herds of the compliant sheep, the ones that are fast asleep, the ones that choose to stay asleep and not look into anything other than what they're told is proper, right, correct, and safe, virtuous, and worthy of social approval and belonging. But when I think of those that I know going along with the new old church of scientism programming, I don't feel angry at them for playing at being stupid or for being mistaken, misinformed, manipulated, and deceived, just for being unwilling to challenge their own rigidities and own their own mistakes, bullshit, power, and accountability. So where can I challenge my own rigidities? Where can I own my own mistakes, bullshit, and power and accountability more fully, or with more integrity? I can forgive myself and others for our stupidity, ignorance, immaturity, and self-deceit, self-sabotage. I choose to forgive others. I choose to forgive myself. I choose to forgive the situation. I choose to take accountability for my actions and my well-being. There is no one else to blame for this willful ignorance and immaturity. Yeah, I allow all things to exist. I forgive them for not knowing, and I forgive me for not knowing. I choose where to focus, direct, and honor my energy. I choose to own my bullshit, ignorance, folly, and past mistakes. I choose to forgive myself. I forgive myself, and I release all these silly stories that keep me from claiming my inner peace and my full accountability, my freedom to be. Transforming the not enough lack stories, transforming the original wound of betrayal. Healing victim consciousness through transforming the false core belief system that there is not enough or we are not enough, the original psychic wound that there is not enough for me and we. Healing victim consciousness, poverty, lack, through forgiveness and reclaiming our power, responsibility, resources, fullness, and prosperity. Maybe it's really about the inability or the unwillingness to look into things rather than the stupidity, because it feels so frustrating to see these mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological limitations and the exploitation, manipulation, the self-defeating, depreciating, degenerating dynamics playing out right now. The degeneration of consciousness, the heads in the sand, the heads up the ass, the big old egos all puffed up and flexing their own self-righteousness. See, we are enough. It's to prove that we are worthy, right, and good enough. And it's all survival strategy and unconscious service to self mentality, self preservation, ego preservation. Maladaptive and destructive, misdirected energy, all turned around and inverted, distorted through trauma and deceptive storytelling. Yeah, fear, trauma, and deceptive storytelling. Unconscious agreements and parasitic strategies, self destructive. Yeah, ways of operating. And so, yeah, I release and dissolve these old agreements and beliefs, programs, and false stories. I offer them back with love. Thank you, stories, for teaching me how to claim and know me and how to honor my true worth and my divine right to my life. And so, yeah, that's some of what I got today. And it's just like nothing really new, but it's getting it deeper on deeper levels and deeper, like getting through some of those layers and those veils, and getting to the root of like the wound. So it is, yeah, it relates. So it's been almost a month since I wrote my poison pen letter, yeah, and my forgiveness letter, and it's been a process to allow and surrender through. And sometimes the healing can feel more painful than the original wound. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I did read a couple weeks ago about something Clarissa Pinkola Estes wrote in Women Who Run with the Wolves about that. Like how, yeah, the process of healing sometimes can feel more painful than when we actually received or, yeah, had that wound, you know. So I claim my wings and my roots and my crown. I claim my ability to be whole and to heal. I claim my power and my responsibilities. I claim my love and integrity. I claim my power to choose and to be all I am for all of me. I claim my fullness and my accountability. I claim my life and my sovereignty. I claim my wholeness and my well-being's needs. I claim my right, my legitimacy. I claim my worth, my value, my prosperity, my currency, my creative potential, and creative life force energy. I claim my ability to discern, receive, and I claim my true connection to the one source, to creator, and to the power of the word. I claim my magic and my ability to transform, create, and become all I am, all of me. I claim my power and my freedom to be. I claim all I am for my whole being. Enough is enough. Dissolving the old parasitic, narcissist, codependent dynamics, the wounded child, the wounded parent. Yeah, and all those, yeah, relationships, all those mirrored, yeah, and distorted relationships. Deceptive, destructive, confusing, manipulative, passive-aggressive, unconscious agreements and strategies. Yeah, learned behavioral conditioning. The bargain without knowing. Ignorance, foolishness, and stupidity. Sin, going against oneself for security, comfort, and belonging. Operating unconsciously, lost in samsara and self-made suffering. Perpetuating the dark controller's false light or artificial programming. So I'm not going to be silenced, scapegoated, and blamed, shamed. I'm not playing along with this victim blame game. I'm not going to take this BS anymore. I'm not playing your poverty game to prove, yeah, anything. I don't need to prove that I am worthy, valued, or smart enough to play. I don't need your validation, your stamp of approval, or your permission to be me. I don't need your bullshit. No thanks. I'll choose to honor, love, respect, care for, and value me and we. I'll choose, yeah, through my own ways of being. I am free to be. I claim my voice, my abundance, and my currency. Yes, I claim my right to express myself freely. I, yes, claim my whole being and my right to be all of me. And so, yeah, what's really been pissing me off, though, is like being canceled out, being silenced, being dismissed, being devalued, being dehumanized, being slandered, being cast out. Yeah, because I've been there before, and that's painful. And yeah, and it's just like, just all kind of like actually in awe and in horror, like that people don't realize or see like any of those parallels or those patterns, or yeah, how they relate like to what's happening now. But like I know it's all illusion and confusion and madness right now, like, and it is coming up to the surface, like to be brought into the light and to be purified and purged, so, and transmuted now. And so, like, just realizing that it's all a story being played out right now, and also, like, just paying attention and to when triggers come up and how I can redirect it, and what I can focus on, and what do I get to claim, choose, create, and be for me, and become, and all of those things. What can I allow, and what can I receive, and what can I like honor for me. And so just like remembering, like there's always more than two sides. There is, actually. So it's multiplicity. And but sometimes we're only aware of like the two. Yeah. Because of the one against one against one. But yeah, it's just kind of funny just to observe and to witness and to look into. But yeah, some of those things like being dismissed, devalued, discarded, unwanted, unloved. Yeah, it's personal, from the personal wound and the collective wound. And that's what we've been recycling through and creating again and again on that hamster wheel. Yeah, of chasing the carrot on the stick and the problem reaction solution. And it's like fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And those like are some of the reactions that we have to that illness, discomfort, disease, like to that fierce survival strategies, fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Yeah, and how can we like start to look at those patterns and those strategies and those identities and those roles and what we've been creating like through those loops and in the body of pain, like recycling again and again. And so April 5th, yeah, I was writing some things down, like, because it's just a good way for me to vent and express, and I can see like through like allowing these certain aspects, you know, the story, I can find the truth within the story, even though the story is a lie. And so that's like kind of like what myths are. It's either the truth, yeah, that can help us see the lies, or it's a lie that can help us see the truth. And so I think that's pretty interesting. Like, yeah, there's just, yeah, so magical. And the soul's language, like, yeah, of that metaphor and the symbolic, yeah, symbolic ways to know the truth. And there is like so much power in this symbol. And in an idea, there is a lot of power in that. And so I just do want to share like the importance and the power and the potency of certain things like that, of symbols and words and language and stories and images that are used. They can be used to empower us or to disempower us, and definitely are influential, like in sharing a message or sharing information, because there's so much information in like just one little symbol. Yeah. And that's why I love like all of this and all of the archetypes, because there is so much loaded in them that can help us know who we are and help us see like and navigate like through this transition into higher states of awareness. Yeah. Of knowing who we are, of remembering who we are, of being who we are, being true to who we are, being all that we are, like for all that we are, through all that we are, for all the love we are. with symbols. Symbols are the language of the soul psyche. The possibilities for their uses are infinite. There is power in the symbol, but ultimately the power is within you. You are the engine that fuels the symbolic flame, without your consent, focus, intent, or participation. But it could be unconscious participation. So let's make it an effort to participate more consciously. So without your consent, focus, intent, participation, the authority of the symbol wanes. You are the light upon which the symbol's reflection falls and allows its brilliance to flow. And that was a quote that I really liked that I took from What's Your Sign? And you can search for all these amazing symbols on that site. So that's a site that I found like in 2012, and I occasionally go back there and just go check out different things because my curiosity leads me there. So symbol, a mark, a sign, a word that indicates, signifies, or is understood as representing an idea, object, or relationship. Symbols allow us to go beyond what is known or seen by creating linkages between otherwise very different concepts and experiences. All communication and data processing is achieved through the use of symbols. Symbols take the form of words, sounds, gestures, ideas, or visual images and are used to convey other ideas and beliefs. Using symbolic perspectives, metaphor, can nurture new ways of seeing, understanding, relating, cooperating, and being. We can use the knowledge of symbols to decipher and interpret visions, concepts, messages, and dreams, stories, myths, and archetypal themes. Symbols are everywhere. They influence our ways of thinking, seeing, and perceiving. They are powerful tools and can be especially potent if they're used to inspire, empower, harmonize, and unify, or disempower, control, divide, and or manipulate. So, yeah, that's the potency and the power of symbols. And like working with our unconscious, working through our unconscious, bringing the darkness into the light, shining that light through the darkness. And so, with that said, I will just share a couple of things that I have been working with the last 2 weeks or so, and the last month, and the last few years, and this last lifetime, and the last several lifetimes that I've been here. So, I have been remembering certain things in different, situations, different relationships from other lifetimes, and that's why I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. I'm not just clearing this bullshit from this lifetime. It's thousands and thousands of years of karmic crap, and it's from the collective, as well, and I know that. So taking that accountability and choosing not to play into the blame game anymore, nothing. And it's every time that I feel that kind of a story is coming up, why are you doing this to me, kind of a thing, it's oh, thank you victim for showing me where I can empower me and where I feel disempowered. And so sometimes it is the victim's voice that and then I get to go look in there and read between the lines and see what's mine and what's not mine. And so April 5th. The nanny state. The nanny state, the technocrats, the Marxists and the new fascists, the corrupt Democrats and Republicans, in name only. The experts, the priests of Big Pharma, the oligarchs, the puppets and slaves, the perpetrators of misery, mindless groupthink, order followers, overseers of the slave state, the hypnotized and paralyzed sheep. Self-police, the hijacked big tech media and the fast asleep, the gullible naive, the well-intentioned, driven by fear, hate, pride, greed, and vanity, hypnotized and controlled through psychopathological programming and lower fear, desire, emotional exploitation, myth scripts, and lies. We're your new parents now. Yes. Mommy and daddy, government. Blindly obey us and do what you're told so we can take good and proper care of you. If you don't follow orders and go along to get along, we cannot take better care of you because we know what's best for you. And we are the only ones who know what's best and better for you, best for all of you. Now be a good little girl and a good little boy, or else you're out in the cold in the doghouse. Do as we say, or else be exiled, blamed, shamed, and scapegoated. sacrificed on the altar of martyrdom, the sacrificial lamb, and boogeyman myths and programs, inverted mind control. Claim and take back your own mind, or surrender and sell your free living soul for the illusion of false security, safety, and control. The lower ego and the mark of the beast, the system of domination, fear, and control. The fall. Degeneration, the fall. And so what I wrote after that, decided to do that. I was like, okay, what is more true, and what's more aligned with what I want to bring in, forth, and through. What I want to focus on, what I want to choose. The rise, to heal, to make whole, regeneration. The rise, you are the light. I remind you, you shine with purity of 10,000 suns. Let the light so shine from your heart, mind, and soul. Let the light so shine from within, through your awakened, living heart, mind, and soul. Drop the stories and see through the roles that you have been playing to know your whole soul. You are a beloved child of the light. You are whole. You come from unimaginable realms of light, and you will return to those realms. Know and free your embodied soul. Love is who you really are. Free your mind, open your heart to claim your whole, to claim your all. Be nothing, no thing, to be one with all, through all. I am the light of my soul. I am the light of the one living soul. I am the light through the one whole. I am the light. I am one with all. Remember, awaken your light, living soul. Remember, awaken your light, loving soul. Be love, be true, be one soul through all. Become all you are through the truth of your soul. Be one, be all, be nothing, be whole. Shine your light, share your love, be one with all. Free yourself, love yourself, and know all. Be yourself, love yourself, and free all. And so, I wrote next that I was feeling a little down and somewhat overwhelmed, kind of discouraged and depressed. And I don't know if it's a form of self-pity or if it's just old or suppressed emotions that get to be felt, met, acknowledged, allowed, and released. Just feeling sad that good-hearted, kind-hearted, loving people are being used and are so easy to manipulate, are being hijacked and weaponized through their poisoned minds, being poisoned through fear and huge lies, being programmed and genetically modified through the agenda of scientism, transhumanism, inversion, and reversal of the holistic whole life. Artificial hive mind. I'm very sorry that you cannot see that you are being used and dishonoring we. You are being used to enforce slavery. You are being programmed to embrace tyranny. You are being used to destroy the family. You are being used to legitimize false authority. You are being used to prop up, reinforce your chains of mental slavery. You are being used to destroy the sacredness of life. You are being used to push evil agendas of domination, manipulation, and tyrannical control. You are being used, and you are expendable. There's a reason they call you a useful idiot. The half-bastard. Wake the fuck up, please. See through the BS. See through the darkness. See through the lies. Please remember who you are. Please remember who we are. Please remember who I am. Please remember all I am. Where are you being run by fear and control? The distortions of the ego mind. Of the hijacked ego mind. The monkey mind. So, it's like, where am I being hijacked? Through my own distortions, that I need to wake anyone else up so that I can be safe, and that just has to do with some of the things that I've experienced in previous lives, like where I wasn't heard and I wasn't seen and I was dehumanized and I was devalued and I was blamed and I was scapegoated because I was different. I was an easy target and the black sheep, and I've played this role so many times. I'm done projecting that lie. So I remind you of your purity. I remind you of your worth. I remind you of your innocence. I remind you of your search. I remind you of your fullness, your value, love, and worth. I remind you of your light. I remind you of rebirth. I remind you of your love. I remind you of your always, of your value. I remind you of your worth, your eternal always worth. You are worthy, you are valued, you are loved, and you are held. You are enough. You are supported. You are love, and love is well. I am worthy. You are worthy. We are worthy. And so it is. I am enough. You are enough. We are enough. And so it is. I remind you of your wholeness. I remind you of your truth. I remind you of your fullness. I remind you of the truth. I remind you of your oneness. I remind you of your soul. I remind you of your heart, prosperous and full. We are worthy, so it is. We are worthy, so let it be. Yeah, we are enough. We are worthy. And so it is. So let it be. Trust, surrender, and let go. To forgo, to forbear, to forget, to forgive, to let go. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Bless them, love them, pray for them. Choose allowance, faith, compassion, letting go. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be freed from their suffering. May all beings be happy and free. And may my own thoughts, words, and deeds contribute to that happiness and freedom for all. So let it be. Namo Kuan Chien Pusa. Namo Kuan Chien Pusa. Namo Kuan Chien Pusa. Namo Kuan Chien Pusa. That's calling on the goddess of compassion, Kuan Yin. That compassion for all. What do I want to focus on? And what do I get to choose? She saw herself as a being of light, surrounded by many beings of light all around her. They were all connected as a soul family that intended to allow every member to feel deep love while in physical form, yet each would do so in a unique way. Molly McCord, the unlimited sparks of a bonfire. Spiral, circle, Ouroboros, Uraeus, Caduceus, Kundalini, DNA, double helix, Phoenix, solar codes, the goddess being reborn and recrowned. She is being born and giving birth to herself. She is birthing and being birthed into herself, unto herself, awakening and remembering, activating and regenerating, loving her whole self. Leadership. Love is who you are. Love is who we are. Love is who I am. Guardianship. Guardian warriors, rainbow tribe, healed healers, master dreamers, star seeds, master weavers, eager beavers, true believers. Loving all we are. Knowing all we are. Becoming all we are. So I am an eternal being in an eternal universe. Faith, trust, confidence. We are victorious. I have come a long way. We are enough. You are enough. Love is enough. I am enough. Love always. I acknowledge my growth and transformation, rewiring the efforts that I've made, and my willingness, openness, fullness, oneness, my rightness, my right to be. Please show me how to best bring forth my gifts, believe in my love and all I have to give in service to the whole. Please lead me to the next steps of my mission. I am open to receive. Thank you. So it is. Mermaid, unicorn, dragon, phoenix, winged serpent, horse, chariot, deer, caribou, buffalo, turkey, vulture, fish, insects, spider, micro, macro, dog, wolf, lion, lion-hearted, strength, courage, devotion, integrity, friendship, relations, kinship and family, starseeds and soul tribe, divine team, soul family, structural integrity, peoples, teamwork, resources, creativity, resting and letting go, freshening and replenishing, allowing, surrendering, observing, suspending, asking, detaching, noticing and acknowledging, forgiving, releasing, choosing and claiming, listening and witnessing, feeling and sensing, contemplating, creating, illuminating, penetrating, transforming, transmuting, transfiguring, blending, integrating, synthesizing, purifying, appreciating, valuing, blessing, praising, thanking, harmonizing, nurturing, honoring, responding, participating, opening, softening, yielding, becoming, being, integrating, becoming through being all I am. And yeah, the next thing that I had to share was a letter that I wrote on April 7th. And that actually really was good medicine and good practice for me, because even though I felt like, oh, I've already like expressed all I need to express about this, but actually like there was some certain things that came out about it that really helped me go beyond what I had been able to see before, and continued into what I was able to receive today. And so I'm grateful for that. And like some of my history and some of my wounds from my childhood and from my teenage years it was related to the Mormon church and leaving the church and feeling like unworthy and yeah, feeling like that separation, that wound of separation, you know, like I'm separate from God, I'm separate from others, and like not being able to like know, claim, or honor my own worth, that really hurt. And so like went into a spiral of self-destruction because I was so hurt, and it was just like this programming that led to self-hatred and self-loathing, and that I am not enough, and I am not good enough, and I'm not worthy, yeah, to receive, um, yeah, my blessings, or like, yeah, the love of who I am. And that's why, yeah, like this one way of seeing things, or this one way of being like you, and the cancel culture and the censorship and the silencing and the like ridiculing and targeting and blaming and slandering and all of this stuff, like, yeah. And I know like it's just part of that, like to keep us divided and conquered, you know, like it's that division, um, that control strategies, because that's how they've always gotten away with it. Like it's to keep us busy fighting ourselves, or fighting amongst ourselves, or trying to preserve the ego, or like, yeah, getting swept up and carried away in those stories and exploited through the lower emotional body, like pain, the lower emotions, you know, and um, those core beliefs, the behavioral conditioning, and the mental, yeah, hijackery, fuckery, sabotage, distortions, all that kind of stuff that reinforce the wounds of separation and keep playing like through that same recycling. Yeah. So that's like the ocean of samsara. Yeah. And that self-made or self-created or self-sustained suffering that we've been trained to play into. So that's, yeah, some of the things. Like, I'm surprised that you're not able to see the parallels and the patterns of these inherited and implanted beliefs, the core belief systems, and how they are based on the same formulas and myths of rigid belief and control, operating through the lower ego of separation and extreme polarity, where there is only one right way, one truth, one acceptable program, or one right way to be, operate, think, speak, feel, and believe, the one true church, the one true way. Very ironic considering our family's history and break away from the Mormon church and these fallen patriarchal systems of domination, blind obedience, and usurpation, false control, and manipulation. The infallible dogma of the new religion is now this inverted belief in scientism. Don't question the experts and their superior skills and unchecked authority, their power of control. Our obedience to authority has been deeply implanted into our psyches. Milligram's experiments, Stanley Milgram wrote Obedience to Authority. Look at that experiment. His experiments prove that well, that our obedience to authority has been deeply implanted into our psyches. People see the authority in white lab coats as the priestly class these days and feel unworthy to doubt, challenge, or question their motives, interests, and goals, and what they believe they think they know. So what am I saying here? It's ironic that what we're experiencing, it's all about religious belief, rigid dogma, and cognitive dissonance, our inability to challenge our fears, desires, identities, roles, core wounds, attachments, beliefs, cultural and generational programming. So, yeah, can we start to do that? Or can we start to challenge our own beliefs, or just be in that space to surrender and open to another perspective or another way? Like, okay, you can still keep your way of seeing things how you want to see them, but are you willing to open to seeing it in another way as well? Yeah. And are you aware of the lenses that you're using? Are you aware from where you're coming from? Like, are you coming from, yeah, a wound Or the soul, you know, is it authentic or is it artificial? It's for us to see for ourselves. So I'm sorry you're unable to see that you're playing into their game of the clean and the unclean, the desirable and the undesirable, the desirable and the undesirable. And these false beliefs that we are not able to understand, work with, or harmonize and create true health and wellness from the inside. So true health, wealth, and wellness from the inside, from the relationship that we have with ourselves. So yeah, let's look at that relationship that we have with ourselves, because that colors all the other relationships that we have with everyone else, and how we see ourselves and how we see our place in the world. Yeah, so to do evil, a human being must first of all believe that what he's doing is good, or else that it's a well-considered act in conformity with natural law. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Ideology, that is what gives evil doing its long-sought justification and gives the evildoer the necessary steadfastness and determination. That is the social theory which helps to make his act seem good instead of bad in his own and others' eyes, so that he won't hear reproaches and curses but will receive praise and honors. The comparison between totalitarianism and psychosis is not incidental. Delusional thinking inevitably creeps into every form of tyranny and despotism. Evil powers from the archaic past return. An automatic compulsion to go on to self-destruction develops to justify one mistake with a new one. To enlarge and expand the vicious pathological circle becomes the dominating end of life. The delusion starts with the leaders and is later taken over by the masses they oppress. Joost Meerlo, Rape of the Mind, and the other two were from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And so I forgive myself for not knowing. I forgive myself for the harm I may have done while under the spell of amnesia, ignorance, and programming. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive my imperfections and my perceived weaknesses. I forgive myself my limitations. I forgive myself for past betrayals. I forgive myself for abandonment and the push and pull dynamics. I forgive myself for, the experience of rejection, avoidance, and playing small. I forgive all for everything. So let it be and heal. And there was, those interesting patterns coming up. Like, there was some passive aggressive stuff that were coming up, like, last month actually, and then this month again. And so it was interesting to look at and to see. April 9th, new moon window of potential in Aries. Investigations, excavations, laying the dead to rest, and acknowledgement. Transmutation. Curiosity killed the cat, but he still has 8 more lives left. The gnome who lives in my butt, riding his unicorn, Charles in charge, Charles at charge, charging forward and charging forth, the thrusting phallic force, the thrusting charging electric force, the warrior, the youth, the pioneer, the fool, the activator, the solar codes, the activations, the artist's actions, effortless actions, the state of non-doing or not doing, being in the flow state, wu-wei, the Tao, the art of living, economy, riches and prosperity, response, engagement, and exchange, joy, passion, curiosity and wonder, hilarity, ridiculousness, and ludicrousy, madness, chaos, and insanity, stupidity, ignorance, bliss, and folly, innocence, wisdom, and opportunity, everything. The zero, the full, and the gathering of all the strands of myself into one still point and breathing, opening, being, presence, breathing into now and beyond. May the light of the Spirit fill the open chalice of my soul. I am the light. I am that I am. I am before, behind, at my left and right, above and below, unto me I am. I am this love. I know I am. Merkaba, sun, and stars. I am. Wandering. The wanderer. Wandering stories. Wondering. a willingness to see, be, and become all things, to harmonize, synthesize, and be one. Be one with all of me and we, to merge, to love, to be, become more of who I am in thee. I am love and love is me, love is well and love is free to be received, my receptivity. Yes, love, be freely received. Love is free to be. So, yay. A fully conscious divine feminine energy asks herself, how can I change this energy within myself? How can I evolve and elevate this reaction I am feeling? How can I take responsibility for this part of myself and learn from it? Molly McCord, The Unlimited Sparks of a Bonfire. And so, yeah, I was writing about some of my feelings that were emerging. Yeah. Some feelings emerging today when I was looking at certain stories and characters, archetypes, and roles we play. Feeling angry with some of the muggles and the stupidity and slander, compliments of the technocratic propaganda machine, all the bullshitified lies and the disinfo campaigns to make us truth tellers look like we're so terrible, crazy, dangerous, and retarded for not playing the establishment's fear, shame, pride games. The half batch of tard games. Oh, tard, sweet tard, come here and face kiss me. LOL, stupid fucking play. Who wrote this silly garbage anyway? Definitely not me. Probably some drunkard high on crack and bad TV. Scientific American, damn. Oh, please give me a freaking break. So apparently, the anti-whatever crowd is as dangerous, possibly even more dangerous than terrorists or nuclear energy. Dang, son, that's pretty dangerous to the mainstream's religious beliefs and scientism and their evil agenda's tyrannical overreach. Okay, silly muggles, tricks are for kids, so what is it going to be? Are you going to wake the fuck up? Are you going to wake the hell up? Or are you going to stay the fuck asleep? In this nightmarish or Orwellian dystopian's dream? Can you not see any of the patterns, parallels, and themes? Can you not see the deceit, sabotage, and ego trickery? Or are you so dead, fast asleep? You know? Waiting for mommy and daddy's approval or permission from the nanny state to breathe, to be, to embody and receive your birthright, to live and become fully free. The knight in shining armor to the rescue becomes the prison guard and the schoolyard bully. Wake up, remember, love is free. Wake up, remember, we are all free to be. Wake up, remember, to be one at peace. Wake up, remember, to choose to be free. Wake up, remember, the freedom to be. Wake up, remember, all love is free. Wake up, remember, we're the ones we need. Wake up, remember, all our love is free to be embodied, lived, and received, dreamed. Yeah. Get over yourself and break through to yourself. Break open, let go, and soften. Love, be free, I am worthy. Let go of the not enough stories. Do you love who you are? Do you know who you are? Are you proud of who you are? Do you love yourself? Are you loved for all you are? Do you respect yourself? Do you care for yourself? Do you care about yourself? Do you take care of yourself? Do you have love for yourself? Are you loved for yourself? Are you kind to yourself? Are you kind for yourself? Are you proud of yourself? Are you loving yourself? Are you in love with who you are? Are you at one with yourself? Are you loved for yourself? Are you honoring who you are? Are you respecting yourself? Do you love all you are? Are you honoring all you are? Yeah. And so, yeah, the next little page here is my new moon intentions, goals, dreams, and tasks. And so that was good for me to look at, and so that I can focus on where I want to move forward and what I want to move towards. And yeah, and different things that like I actually do like here to create and to help, like support and contribute to. So all of these things that I'm excited about and that I love and that I have passion for, like that's my focus. And it's all about empowerment, and it's in service to the whole. And also, yeah, like just for fun and for play and for the joy of being and living. Art projects and creativity, play, practice, showing up, making magic, attending to relationships, commitments, loves, gifts, intentions, self-care, self-empowerment, remembrance. Play, have fun, enjoy, live, be. Love and witness, choose to be free. Claiming, honoring, embodying love, power, and integrity authentically. Effortless actions, intuition, guidance, trust, discernment, presence. Say yes, I am willing, I am that. I am deserving and worthy, I am enough. Self-love and self-confidence, compassion and care, opening, softening, toughening up. Mastering emotions and letting go of old constructs, identities, roles, beliefs, attachments, holding space for healing. My love, all love is enough. Yeah. And that relates. Yeah, so some questions that I asked myself today. Like, what do I want to move towards? So, what is the target? Personal goals and growth. What are my intentions? Yeah. Healing, being, living, wholeness. Yeah. Service to the whole. What do I desire? Peace, freedom, love, and joy. What can I release and let go of? All of it. What can I surrender? Everything. What can I allow? All things. What can I show up for? All of me. All I love. What can I honor? All of we. All of me. All we are. What can I aim for? Integrity. What can I work towards? Yeah. Being authentically me. What can I move towards? Truth. What can I bring in or draw from? I am that. What can I choose? Self-love. What can I ask for? All that serves the whole and our great remembering. What can I receive? All I need. What can I offer? Claim, be, see, create, or integrate. Yeah. Forgiveness, compassion, love, faith, trust, willingness, acceptance, self-care. I am enough. And yeah, some of those fears that I have, you know, like, because I see them playing out, some things, like some old themes and old dynamics playing out. And so, do you remember that poem from World War II? First they came for the Jews, and then they came for, and then they came for the trade unionists. But I was not a trade unionist, so I did not speak up, or I did not stand up. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to stand for me. And so it was like, I wrote something last year about that because I thought it would help open eyes to what I was seeing. And yeah, it was just something for me though. And yeah, but I just kind of like went back to that again. Like, first they came for the troublemakers, then they came for the anti-vaxxers, then they came for the right-wingers, then they came for the free thinkers, then they came for the deniers, then they came for the new agers, then they came for me, and there was no one left to stand for me. We. Are you ready and willing to look more deeply and challenge your own fears, pride, and beliefs? Your survival strategies, your identities, your roles, cultural generational programming, attachments to certain beliefs, dynamics, choices, and parts that we've played. What have we created and chosen? What have we agreed to unconsciously? So there's just some good things to look at. Yeah. So where can I challenge my own rigidities, and where can I own my own mistakes, bullshit, and power and accountability more fully? Yeah. Just good reminders. I respect, love, honor, and care for myself. I am worthy and I am enough. I don't need to convince anyone, save anyone, prove myself to anyone, change anyone, free anyone, or sacrifice myself to prove my love to or for anyone. And so it is. I'll take that. I'll gratefully receive that, and I will surrender that, knowing that all is well right now. And it's just kind of funny that in a lot of ways I felt impatient. Felt impatient with myself, felt impatient with this process, felt impatient with like what I'm seeing out there on the outer stage, with how I perceive that others are getting it or not getting it, you know? And that's like really none of my business. Yeah. And so, like, I'll make myself my own business, you know? Like, I don't know, like, I guess it was just kind of like that need to belong and that concern for others' well being and for others' safety. And like, don't want to see anyone be harmed, like, by ignorance, you know? But like, I can't control any of that. And so I'm willing to let it go. And also understand that, like, it's all unfolding as it needs to and as it gets to. And like, yeah, there's a lot that's going on underneath the surface and the appearance of things. And so I'm willing to see beyond like my prejudices and preferences, and like, yeah, go beyond what I think I know and let go of all I think I know as well, so I can be free and I can honor myself, and I can like let go of my agendas and I can just be here in service to the whole, like, as I am, just as I am, here as I am. So I hope that serves and I hope that helps. Like, yeah, kind of navigating these challenges and working these things out, or working through these things, or allowing them to be, yeah, worked out, played out. Yeah. And then just becoming aware. And then choosing care and redirecting. To create and manifest something else. Yeah, for myself, my whole self. There's this little part in here in the story in The Handless Maiden that I shared a few weeks ago that I was going to share and go into, because I was really feeling that call to me today. The first stage, the bargain without knowing. And that is, yeah, something I read a couple weeks ago, but I haven't gone back to it until now. So let's see. The bargain without knowing, from Women Who Run with the Wolves. The Handless Maiden, the first stage, the bargain without knowing. So, in the first stage of the story, the susceptible and acquisitive miller makes a poor bargain with the devil. He thought to enrich himself, but too late realizes the price is going to be very, very high. He thought he was trading his apple tree for wealth, but instead he finds he has given his daughter to the devil. In archetypal psychology, we take all the elements of a fairy tale to be descriptions of the aspects in a single woman's psyche. So regarding this tale as women, we must ask ourselves here at the beginning, what poor bargain does every woman make? Though we might respond with different answers on different days, there is one answer that is constant to all women's lives. Though we hate to admit it over and over again, the poorest bargain of our lives is the one we make when we forfeit our deep knowing life for one that is far more frail, when we give up our teeth, our claws, our sense, our scent, when we surrender our wilder natures for a promise of something that seems rich but turns out to be hollow instead. Like the father in this tale, we make this bargain without realizing the sorrow, the pain, and the dislocation it will cause us. We can be smart in the ways of the world, and yet almost every mother's daughter, if given half a chance, chooses the poor bargain at first. The making of this awful bargain is a matter of enormous and meaningful paradox. Even though choosing poorly could be seen as pathologically self-destructive act, it far more often turns into a watershed event that brings vast opportunity to redevelop the power of this instinctive nature. In this respect, though there is loss and sadness, the poor bargain, like birth and death, constitutes a rather utilitarian step off the cliff planned by the self in order to bring a woman deep into her wildness. A woman's initiation begins with the poor bargain she made long ago while still slumbering. By choosing whatever appealed to her as riches, she surrendered, in return, dominion over some and often every part of her passionate, creative, and instinctive life. That female psychic slumber is a state approximating somnambulism. During it, we walk, we talk, yet we are asleep. We love, we work, but our choices tell the truth about our condition. The voluptuous, the inquiring, the good, and incendiary sides of our natures are not fully sentient. This is the state of the daughter in the tale. She is a lovely creature to behold and innocent, yet she could forever sweep the yard behind the mill, back and forth, and never develop knowing. Her metamorphosis has no metabolism. So the tale begins with the unintended but acute betrayal of the young feminine, of the innocent. It can be said that the father, who symbolizes the function of the psyche that is supposed to guide us in the outer world, is in fact very ignorant about how the outer world and the inner world work in tandem. When the fathering function of the psyche fails to have knowing about issues of the soul, we are easily betrayed. The father does not realize one of the most basic things that mediates between the world of soul and the world of matter. That is, that many things that present themselves to us are not as they seem upon first contact. The initiation into this kind of knowing is the initiation that none of us wants, even though it is the one all of us sooner or later receive. So the initiation into this kind of knowing is the initiation that none of us wants, even though it is one all of us sooner or later receive. So many tales, Beauty and the Beast, Bluebeard, Reynard the Fox, begin with the father endangering the daughter. But in a woman's psyche, even though the father bumbles into a lethal deal because he knows nothing of the dark side of the world or the unconscious, the horrible moment marks a dramatic beginning for her, a forthcoming consciousness and shrewdness. No sentient being in this world is allowed to remain innocent forever. In order for us to thrive, our own instinctive nature drives us to face the fact that things are not as they first seem. The wild creative function pushes us to learn about the many states of being, perception, and knowing. These are the many conduits through which the wild woman speaks to us. Loss and betrayal are the first slippery steps of a long initiatory process that pitches us into La Selva Subterranea, the underground forest. There, sometimes for the first time in our lives, we have a chance to cease walking into walls of our own making and learn to pass through them instead. While in modern society, a woman's loss of innocence is often ignored, in the underground forest, a woman who has lived through the demise of her innocence is seen as someone special, in part because she has been hurt, but much more so because she has gone on, because she is working hard to understand, to peel back the layers of her perceptions and her defenses to see what lies underneath. In that world, her loss of innocence is treated as a rite of passage. That she can now see more clearly is applauded. That she has endured and continues to learn gives her both status and honor. Making a poor bargain is not only representative of the psychology of young women, it holds true for women of any age who are without initiation or who are dangling in an incomplete initiation in these matters. How does any woman involve herself in such a bargain? The story opens with the symbol of the mill and the miller. Like them, the psyche is a grinder of ideas. It masticates concepts and breaks them down into usable nourishment. It takes in raw material in the form of ideas, feelings, thoughts, and perceptions and breaks them open in a way that makes them usable for our nourishment. This psychic ability is often called processing. When we process, we sort through all the raw material in the psyche, all the things we've learned, heard, longed for, and felt during a period of time. We break these down into parts, asking, how shall I use this best? We use these processed ideas and energies to implement our most soulful tasks and to fund our various creative endeavors. In this way, a woman remains both sturdy and lively. But in the story, the mill is not milling. The psyche's miller is unemployed. This means nothing is being done with all of the raw material that comes into our lives on a daily basis, and that no sense is being made of all the grains of knowing that blow into our faces from the world and from the underworld. If the miller has no work, the psyche has stopped nourishing itself in critically important ways. The milling of grain has to do with creative urge. For whatever reason, the creative life of a woman's psyche is at a standstill. A woman who feels thusly senses that she is no longer fragrant with ideas, that she is not fired with invention, that she is not grinding finely to find the pith of things. Her mill is silenced. Then appears to be a natural slumber that comes upon humans at certain times in their lives. From raising my own and from my work with the same group of gifted children over a period of years, I saw that this sleep seems to descend upon children at age 11 or thereabouts. That is when they begin to take acute measurements about how they compare with others. I remember that at 11. During this time, their eyes go from clear to hooded, and though they are always in motion like Mexican jumping beans, they are often dying of terminal cool. Whether they are being too cool or too well behaved, in neither state are they responsive to what goes on deep inside, and a sleep gradually covers over their bright-eyed, responsive natures. Let us further imagine that during this time we are offered something for nothing, that somehow we have twisted ourselves around to believe that if we will remain asleep, something will accrue to us. Women know what this means. When a woman surrenders her instincts that tell her the right time to say yes and when to say no, when she gives up her insight, intuition, and other wildish traits, then she finds herself in situations that promised gold but ultimately give grief. Some women relinquish their art for a grotesque financial marriage, or give up their life stream in order to be a too good wife, daughter, or girl, or surrender their true calling in order to lead what they hope will be a more acceptable, fulfilling, and especially more sanitary life. In these ways and others, we lose our instincts. Instead of our lives being filled with the possibility of enlightenment, we are covered over with a kind of endarkenment instead. Our outer ability to see into the nature of things and our inner seeing are both snoring away, so that when the devil comes a-knocking, we sleepwalk over to the door and let him in. The devil symbolizes the dark force of the psyche. The predator who is in this tale is not recognized for what he is. The devil is an archetypal bandit who needs, wants, and sucks up the light. So theoretically, if he were given light, that is, a life with the possibility of love and creativity, then the devil would no longer be the devil. In this tale, the devil is present because the young girl's sweet light has attracted him. Her light is not just any light, but the light of a maiden's soul trapped in a somnambulistic state. Oh, what a tasty morsel. Her light glows with heartbreaking beauty, but she is unaware of her value. Such a light, whether it is to be the glow of a woman's creative life, her wild soul, her physical beauty, her intelligence, or her generosity, always attracts the predator. Such a light that is also unaware and unprotected is always a target. I worked with a woman who was quite taken advantage of by others, be they spouse, children, mother, father, or stranger. She was 40 years old and still at this bargain betrayal stage of inner development. By her sweetness, her warm and welcoming voice, her lovely manner, she not only attracted those who took away an ember from her, but so large a crowd gathered before her soulful fire that they blocked her from receiving any of its warmth herself. The poor bargain she had made was to never say no in order to be consistently loved. The predator of her own psyche offered her the gold of being loved if she would give up her instincts that said enough is enough. She realized fully what she was doing to herself when she had a dream that she was on her hands and knees in a crowd, trying to reach through the forest of legs for a precious crown someone had thrown into a corner. The instinctual layer of her psyche was pointing out that she had lost her sovereignty over her own life, and that it was going to be hands and knees work to get it back. To retrieve her crown, this woman had to reevaluate her time, her giving, her attentions to others. The flowering apple tree in the tale symbolizes a beauteous aspect of women, the side of our nature that has its roots sunk into the world of the wild mother, where it is nurtured from below. The tree is the archetypal symbol of individuation. It is considered immortal, for its seeds will live on. Its root system shelters and revivifies. It is home to an entire food chain of life. Like a woman, a tree also has its seasons and its stages of growth. It has its winter, it has its spring. In the North Woods apple orchards, farmers call their mares and their dogs girl, and their flowering fruit trees lady. The orchard trees are the young naked women of spring, the first nose, as we used to say. Of all the things that most meant spring, the fragrance of clustered fruit blossoms outranked the crazed robins jumping around doing triple gainers in the side yard, and outscored the new crops coming in like tiny flames of green fire in the black dirt. Yeah, I love the flowers popping on the trees right now. Also, there was a saying about apple trees. Young in spring, bitter fruit. Other side, sweet as ice. This meant the apple had a dual nature. In the late spring, it looked lovely and round and as though drizzled with sunrise, yet it was too tart to eat. It would make all of your nerves stand up and go, "Ach!" But later in the season, to bite into the apple was like breaking open sweet candy running with juice. The apple tree and the maiden are interchangeable symbols of the feminine self. And the fruit is a symbol of nourishment and maturation, or our knowledge of that self. If our knowledge about the ways of our own soul is immature, we cannot be nourished from it, for the knowing is not yet ripe. As with apples, it takes time for maturation, and the roots must find their ground, and at least a season must pass, sometimes several. So the apple tree and the maiden are interchangeable symbols of the feminine self, and the fruit is a symbol of nourishment and maturation of our knowledge of that self. If our knowledge about the ways of our own soul is immature, we cannot be nourished from it, for the knowing is not yet ripe. As with apples, it takes time for maturation, and the roots must find their ground, and at least a season must pass, sometimes several. If the maiden soul sense remains untested, nothing more can occur in our lives. But if we can gain underworld roots, we can become mature, nourishing to soul, self, and psyche. The flowering apple tree is a metaphor for fecundity, yes, but more so it signifies the densely sensual creative urge and the ripening of ideas. All these are the work of Las Curanderas, the root women who live deep in the crags and montanas, the mountains of the unconscious. They mine the deep unconscious there and deliver up the work to us. We work the work they give to us, and as a result, a potent fire, shrewd instincts, and deep knowing springs to life, and we develop and grow in depth in both inner and outer worlds. Here we have a tree symbolizing the abundance of wild and free nature in a woman's psyche, and yet the value of this is not understood by the psyche. One could say the entire psyche is asleep to the vast possibilities in the feminine nature. When we speak of a woman's life and relationship to the symbol of the tree, we mean the feminine blossoming energy that belongs to us and that comes to us in cycles, ebbing and returning to us on a regular basis as psychic spring follows psychic winter. Without the renewal of this flowering impulse in our lives, hope is covered over, and the earth of our minds and hearts remains in an unmoving state. The flowering apple tree is our deep life. We see the psyche's devastating underestimation of the value of the young elemental feminine when the father says of the apple tree, "Surely we can plant another." The psyche does not recognize its own creator goddess in her flowering tree embodiment. The young self is traded off without realizing her dearness or her role as root messenger for the wild mother. Yet it is this breach of knowing that causes the initiation of endurance to begin. The unemployed miller, down on his luck, had begun to chop wood. It is hard work to chop wood, is it not? There is much heaving and hauling. Yet this chopping of wood symbolizes vast psychic resources, the ability to provide energy for one's tasks, to develop one's ideas, to bring the dream, whatever it be, within reach. So when the miller begins to chop away, we could say the psyche has begun to do the very work of bringing light and warmth to itself. But the poor ego is always looking for an easy way out. When the devil suggests he will relieve the miller of hard work in exchange for the light of the deep feminine, the ignorant miller agrees. We seal our own fates in this way. Deep in the wintry parts of our minds, we are hardy stock, and we know there is no such thing as a work-free transformation. We know that we will have to burn to the ground in one way or another, and then sit right there in the ashes of who we once thought we were and go on from there. But another side of our nature is a part of more desirous of languor, hopes it won't be so, hopes the hard work can cease so slumber can resume. When the predator comes along, we are already set up for him. We are relieved to imagine that maybe there is an easier way. But another side of our nature is a part more desirous of languor, hopes it won't be so, hopes the hard work can cease so slumber can resume. When the predator comes along, we are already set up for him. We are relieved to imagine that maybe there is an easier way. When we shun the chopping of wood, the hands of the psyche will be chopped off instead, for without the psychic work, the psychic hands wither. But this desire for a bargain over hard work is so human and so common that it is amazing to find a person alive who has not made the compact. The choice is so usual that if we were to give example after example of women or men wanting to quit the chopping of wood and have a more easy life, thus losing their hands, that is, their grasp on their own lives, well, we would be here a long time. For instance, a woman marries for wrong reasons and cuts off her creative life. A woman has one sexual preference and forces herself to another. A woman wants to go do a big something and stays home and counts paper clips instead. A woman wants to live life but saves little shreds of life as though they are a string. A woman is her own person, yet gives an arm, a leg, or an eyeball away to every lover who comes down the pike. A woman flows with radiant creativity and invites her vampirish friends to a group siphon. A woman needs to go on with her life, and something in her says, no, being snared is being safe. This is the devil's, I'll give you this if you'll give me that, the bargain without knowing. So what was meant to be the nutritive and flowering tree of the psyche loses power, loses its blossoms, loses energy, is sold out, is forced into forfeiting its potential, not understanding the bargain it has made. The entire drama almost always begins and establishes its stronghold outside a woman's consciousness. Yet it must be emphasized that this is where everyone begins. In this tale, the father represents the outer world point of view, the collective ideal that pressures women to be wilted rather than wildish. Even so, there is no shame and no blame if you have given away the flowering boughs. The flowering boughs. Yes, you have suffered for it, no doubt, and you may have given it away for years, even for decades, but there is hope. The mother in the fairy tale announces to the entire psyche what has occurred. She says, wake up, see what you have done, and everybody wakes up so fast it hurts. But still, it is good news for the wishy-washy mother of the psyche, the one that once helped to dilute and to dull the feeling function, has just awakened to the horrible meaning of the bargain. Now a woman's pain becomes conscious. When it is conscious, she can do something with it. She can use it to learn with, to grow strong with, to become a knowing woman. Over the long term, there will be even better news yet. That which has been given away can be reclaimed. It can be restored to its proper place in the psyche. You will see. Wow, that was just incredibly perfect and beautiful and profound. And that fits so very well. And the second stage is dismemberment, and I'll share that next time. Give myself some time to digest and let that percolate. The first stage, the bargain without knowing. And so, wow. Thank you, Badger Medicine, and thank you, Myths, Stories, and Lies, for helping us to uncover what's really true and remind and remember ourselves. So, thanks for listening, and I hope you are well. I hope, that you're remembering to be love for yourself. All right, take care of yourself. Be love for yourself. Love always. We'll see you for now.